Everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So, in the wealthiest nation on earth, we have Americans going hungry. Americans like a man named Aaron Crawford, who spoke with the Associated Press recently, and he admitted that he felt like he was failing his family, which couldn't be farther from the truth. This is not his fault or anyone else who's suffering right now. Crawford is an unemployed 37-year-old Navy vet. He has 2 children and a wife that needs surgery. She found out she needed surgery right when COVID cutbacks started to decrease her hours and her paycheck. And so they, for the first time, along with millions of other Americans, found themselves at a food pantry because they literally didn't have enough to eat. So this is completely and absolutely unacceptable that a man who served our country, or regardless, even anyone else in the so-called greatest country in the world, should have to go without basic necessities like food. But that's exactly what's happening. And this is sickening given that so many billionaires saw their wealth increase because of COVID, yet they're doing nothing with it. They're helping no one. And food pantries and nonprofits are saying they're running out. They're running out of money. They're running out of groceries to help people. They're being overrun. That's how great the need is right now. And we just received last week's unemployment figures from the Labor Department, which shows it's getting worse and it's going to get worse because it really busted a myth. So as of the week ending December 5th, 853,000 Americans filed for traditional unemployment benefits for the first time. That's a huge jump. That is an increase over the previous week of 137,000 people. On top of that, there was a massive spike in the number of people who filed for non-traditional funds through that program that I talk about each week, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. That provides unemployment for gig workers, self-employed people, and so forth that normally wouldn't be covered. They wouldn't have anything to fall back on. Those numbers jumped from just over 288,000 the previous week to 427,609 newly unemployed Americans. So add to that 1,933 new federal employees filing, 625 newly discharged veterans who sought assistance last week, and we're getting back to the horrific numbers we saw over the summer. We're now back well over 1 million Americans. We're now up to almost 1.3 million in 1 week who filed. That's where it was essentially when companies were laying off workers left and right. And considering that the vast majority of the country is now open for business, I'd say this really shoots the Republicans' argument in the heart. They kept saying that, oh, if we just take away that extra unemployment assistance of $600 and then it was reduced to $300 per week, and if we just open up the country, all of these lazy people will get off their asses and get jobs. And no, everyone has tried to tell them for months now, that's not what it is. People do not feel safe. People don't feel safe to go out and eat or to shop, and millions of Americans can't afford to anyway. They couldn't if they even wanted to. And now we're staring down the barrel of a loaded gun because programs are going to be ending in the next few weeks. What few programs that are still available, that are the only lifeline for many of these Americans, they're going to end. And Moody's Analytics just released data showing that 12 million renters as of January will owe an average of almost $6,000 in late rent and utilities. It was over $5,800. Where do you come up with that when you've got little to nothing coming in, no job prospects, and then they take away that one last lifeline that you have. And the rent and mortgage moratorium is going to expire. That's also expiring next month. And millions of Americans have no idea how they're going to come up with the money that they owe. Because the way they wrote it, yeah, we're going to put that off for a few months, but then you owe everything. It's one big balloon payment, one lump sum that you owe when that ends. How in the hell did they expect people to cover that? I said it here multiple times, I believe, that there was no way that that was sufficient, especially not when you're not giving people additional stimulus money, when there's no UBI going out each week, as other countries have done, when employment is tanking because we had failed leadership who refused to enact a mask mandate or a stay-at-home order with pay so that people could stay home, as other countries did. And many of these renters, it's not just them, but they, a lot of these people put their life savings into a home or a condo to rent out. Or some of them moved from a house or a condo that they grew out of, and they were fortunate enough to keep it, but they still have a mortgage on that property. They still owe money. And if the renter's not paying money, then they can't pay the bank. And so guess what's going to happen? If we see a repeat of 2008, if our government, if Joe Biden bails out the banks again and they don't help the people, if people don't take to the streets and throw a fit, I don't even know what to say, because that's exactly what they did in the last recession. They helped the banks. They never bailed out or helped average Americans. And that's why so many people have been struggling. And just now we're getting back on their feet from that 12 years ago and 10 years ago. And now they get hit with this. Yet Trump and Republicans, they're playing games. They're trying to force Democrats to make a Sophie's choice, right? But the difference is it's Sophie's choice between two Trump children. It's two kids that nobody wants. I mean, let's face it, Donald Trump doesn't even like his own kids, so nobody would want that choice. So Republicans' latest offer was one of two things. Either they send out a one-time stimulus check to all Americans for a measly $600. I mean, what the hell is that going to cover? Or they'll increase the unemployment benefit weekly by $300 again, but only from January to April. Who is that going to help? How is that going to help these people who now owe an average, some owe more, but an average of almost $6,000 in a lump sum? And they're offering no state or local aid in this new proposal, which means millions more government employees could soon be laid off as well, because they're going to have to keep cutting their budget. And most states have already used up whatever funds they had to cover shortfalls. And we're seeing this. Some cities are already experiencing this. Some cities are laying off sanitation workers, and trash is piling up all over the place. So this could happen. This could begin to happen throughout the country, all because our so-called leaders, they thought it was more important to bail out large corporations and Wall Street, right? They had $1 trillion a day to bail out Wall Street. Main Street? No, that can burn. Average Americans, yeah, you can go borrow a hose. Go see if a family member or a nonprofit can lend you a hose for that fire we allowed to burn out of control. See if you can borrow a hose to put that out. Absolutely disgusting what is allowed to go on in this country, simply because We allow politicians to be bought and paid for. We allow them to be legally bribed through donations. I will say it every day if I have to, but we need to get money out of politics. Until we do, this is what we have to look forward to. Average Americans can suck it, and the wealthy and the well-connected are fed grapes, fanned, taken care of, have their asses powdered and diapered for them. It's completely outrageous, and it needs to stop. Bernie Sanders and I believe it's maybe not Josh Hawley, one of the more libertarian Republicans in the Senate are fighting, trying to get something real passed. I'm hoping that they make headway. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. As always, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching and listening. I hope that your family is doing okay. And if you can help anybody else out there, please do so. All right. Take care, guys. Thanks for listening to Plants and Politics. The only way we can take our country and power back is to spread the truth and build an army. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks again.